Hello everyone, thanks for joining the latest webinar. This is the fourth webinar we've done, the introduction webinars. You've watched the previous three, I imagine, and this is the last one of the series. And we are joined by Justin at Spectrum, which is a charity based in Cambridge for children with SEN. And largely we're just going to sort of ask a few questions with Justin so he can sort of explain to you what Spectrum does as a charity and sort of events that you could potentially get involved with, for example. So Justin, can you tell us a little bit about Spectrum, what Spectrum do, how did it start, for example, and how does it help parents and carers and children?
Yeah, by all means, and thanks for getting us involved. So Spectrum started back in 2018. It's very much a parent-led organisation. All the team either work with children with SEND day-to-day, or we're all parents of children in that position. So we were very conscious that there isn't a great deal of options for parents out there when you're either got a diagnosis or going through that process. So we wanted to be proactive as opposed to sit around and kind of wait for something to happen. Why not do it ourselves? So that's why we created Spectrum. So fortunately, from the people that we work with, we have a good amount of access to different organisations, different events, and we realised that upon the lived experience and the skills that we've got in the support sector, it forms a nice little bundle, and that's how it came about. So Spectrum predominantly provides events for families. They're very much family orientated. It's not just a child that's got additional needs. We support siblings. We recognise that, you know, extended family plays a big part in a child's life, grandparents and all the rest of it. So we keep that very open and we help different people in different ways. But alongside support, what they're going through at school, benefit information, information specific to autism or their additional needs or different disabilities, we also match that with events. So the events are very different in the direction that they are. We cover technology, we cover sport, we do a lot in the arts. We work with the National Trust on a number of different options around heritage and being outdoors. It's really, really varied. And then we have the entertainment side of things. We work with people like the Harry Potter Studios, Merlin Group. So it gives a nice varied option. So not every child is interested in every sector. And that's kind of how it lays out in a very kind of broad and basic way.
Yeah. Okay. And is it just sort of children with autism, or is it other children sort of with SEN that is covered by yourselves, for example?
No. So around 42% of the children that we support either got an autism diagnosis or are going through that process. But we work with many different areas. We work with dyspraxia. We work with ADHD. We work with a massive amount of chromosome disorders. We work with all kinds of learning disabilities, but we also work a lot with children that have been through trauma. Now that could be as different examples from a mental health perspective as a child and the situation they've been in. It could have been from an accident, and that's physically you know, caused some issues going forwards. It's really, really varied. We also work more and more with children that are also being diagnosed with different kinds of tumours, cancer and so forth. So it's quite varied. So there's obviously a lot of children that fall into a lot of those boxes, you know, just as an individual.
Of course, yeah. And just on the sort of point about the autism, would for example, if a parent was still awaiting the diagnosis, would they still be able to sort of sign up and get involved with yourself? Because obviously, I mean, you'd probably be aware that autism diagnosis being, the waiting list is getting longer and longer as we go along.
No, completely correct. And COVID's not helped that in any shape or form. We've seen those, you know, extend into months and weeks beyond the delays that were previously in place. So no, a family can work with us from the very beginning. So we work with a lot of early years units when kind of autism or children not meeting developmental markers is kind of first being noticed, and that people are just, you know, starting on that journey, learning these words, learning what the implications are, through to children that have been on that journey for a number of years. So we help people from the very beginning all the way through. So we can also help them in terms of their EHCP plan at school. Our team's well versed and able to help people with those documents, the same as with DLA and PIP. But the whole kind of situation around support is what we're there to help. And as I'm sure you know, every child is very, very different to the next.
Of course, yeah.
And so it's very customized, it's very tailored in terms of the support that we provide. But there's additional services on top of that.
Yeah. So if a parent was sort of struggling, had just sort of a child sort of struggling at the moment and quite a bit worried and couldn't get through to anyone, but would they be able to sort of call up yourselves and get a little bit of support, for example, if they were a member of yourself?
That's completely correct. So as a support teams, we recognise that people are in different situations. So our support team is excuse me, accessible over live chat to get the basics of information. We do face-to-face, we do remote, we work with Zoom quite a bit, which helps on families that you know, geography is a problem, or being able to travel to where we are. We do all of that every day, and we're normally around about a 24-hour response, so it's quite quick. To initially let people know that someone's there. We do more and more with mental health and mental health first aiding, but we also appreciate that a child's situation would also put additional stresses on other family members, you know, because you worry about that child. And also a lot of the families that we work with, they also can often through the journey realize that perhaps some of those additional needs are present in themselves, and realize that maybe their childhood was very similar to their own, and it opens up a much wider conversation. Yeah,
and you mentioned geography there, because obviously you're sort of Cambridge based, but do you sort of work across the country at this moment in time?
So it's East Anglia is very much home for Spectrum. That's where we're based. That's where the vast majority of our work done. But as SEN cuts continue to happen across the county, different LAs you know, been well versed in saying how much they're struggling. We see other services go down. We just get referred to from more and more directions. So we get referred a lot by CAMH. We get referred by local authorities when they can't find what we do in their own county. We work with GPs, schools, the partners that we provide. So yeah, we see literally thousands of referrals to us, as well as working with, you know, family workers, social care. They come to us from all manner of directions. But I think the biggest one is also with existing members. I think it's about 82% of our membership at the moment refers another family that they know in a similar situation to themselves.
Oh, that's brilliant. And sort of the events you sort of do, that they're sort of spread out across the sort of UK as well, aren't they? Because I saw on your website, for example, the Harry Potter studio tours, for example, but then you've also got the trips out to various
that's correct
as well.
So we work with a lot of these organisations, not just purely for the event, but places like Colchester Zoo. We're working on the SEN programme with them. We're working with the National Trust on all manners of accessibility to improve inclusion to them as a collective. We help train their own team around that accessibility for events, but they are very varied. We have events that are much quieter to give people the distance they need, the time to think, whereas other events, we work with people like Legoland, for example. Yes, you're still in a busier environment, but there's ways of making that more easier to manage, and that's what we kind of do. We try and help with the sensory side of things. We help break things down and basically take away a lot of the hurdles that families face or would struggle with going on their own, and in time we help build, you know, confidence and social skills, and then you reach, it's good to see families, after a few events, they're then starting to, you know, book things as their own as a family unit, and it's really cool to see stuff like that.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, and you've got a sort of system of a card membership with the Max card that helps families do that themselves, and there's sort of discounted rates at different venues which you sort of work with. Is that right?
That's correct. So the Max card support around about 12,000 venues in the UK at the moment, and like you say, it gives discounted access to families of children with additional needs. And we're one of the biggest distributors in the UK for that. So we can help people with anyone that's a membership. Just being a member of Spectrum qualifies you for the Max card due to the criteria that you reach to be a member. And that gives them the access to the Max card, which in simple terms costs £5. It covers you for 2 years. And like you say, more and more venues out there are getting more aligned with being more inclusive and creating better access. So it just continues to build. And it's not just with day trips. There's people like Butlins and that involved in the scheme as well. So it helps on quite a wide level.
Oh, brilliant. And I think I read that you do sort of the cinema trips as well, where the cinema will sort of reduce the sort of lighting and the sounds to sort of fit the sensory profiles. Is that right?
Yeah, that's completely correct. We've worked with Cinewell for a few years now, and we have access to their venues. We've done most of it in Ely. We're also working with the Light Cinema as well as a new one, where we literally have that showing to ourselves. We can adjust the sound as we need to. Children are a bit more freer to move. Parents, don't need to worry that their child's disrupting anybody, because everyone's in the same position. We've seen it a lot, and we just find it's a more relaxing way of doing things, and families being able to do things as a unit. And it's worked really, really well. Obviously, it's disrupted by COVID, but gradually we're seeing more and more films come back to the box office. So it won't be long before, most of the places that we visit are back in the diary.
Oh, brilliant. And one thing that did spark my interest, which I saw, is this sort of online secure service you've got for Minecraft. Because I know a lot of the children that I work with and parents, they will love sort of Minecraft, but there is also that sort of fear about joining sort of online communities as to who the children might be sort of communicating with, and the vulnerabilities there. And that's something you sort of address, isn't it?
That's correct. So we have a couple of Minecraft servers, both in the Bedrock version and Java. And by being a member of Spectrum, you're able to apply to join that server, and we use the credentials that are given to us to whitelist their gamer tag. So you can't access the server unless we've literally been able to let you in there. But it's obviously nice. Some children like to play on their own. Other people are there to meet other people that have got an interest in the game. So it's popular for a vast number of ways. But we've also we're looking into areas that Animal Crossing, for example, can be used, real feel-good game. And we've even, for sort of older children, kind of looked at different options with Fortnite. So again, it's ongoing, but for some children, that digital world is very much a big part of their everyday life. So we can continue to evaluate it. It's just Minecraft at the moment, but it is good. We've found the feedback on it really, really positive. Yeah, no, it looks really, really good. And you've got other digital platforms with your YouTube channel as well. That's right. So we launched Spectrum TV at Christmas, and we have a big, we've been doing kind of reviews and, just trying to give people an idea of the different partners we work with and style of events. But Spectrum TV was created for the purpose of a bigger project. So we're working with people like Warwick Castle, gone blank for a second there, Legoland and these kind of places, and National Trust, Hilton, to not only show what's available at these venues, but so we face so many questions about people like visual information. So it's good for us to not only talk with the venue and show how accessible they are and what the venue's considered for a family in that position, but physically show people where these things are, as opposed to kind of talk about a sensory room. Let's show you the sensory room that's on site. So we've been doing all those kind of things, and over the course of the next year, we have quite a big project with a lot of people involved now, different elements of the arts and theatre as well, so that we can help people with the need to see these things in advance, as opposed to it be explained by text or so forth. Yeah, it's just almost like a bit of pre-planning for the children. It really, really helps, especially with autistic routines. To give a child a heads up if they've never been somewhere before, and what it looks like, what that initial meeting point could be. We find out that just kind of settles nerves across the whole family, really. Yeah, no, I can quite imagine that. And sort of how could parents get involved with yourself, and what they sort of need to do in order to sort of access your services? So getting involved in Spectrum is really, really easy. It's just literally head into our website. There's a member section, and it's an initial form to give us background information on the family, the kind of things that they're working through, and it's completely free. So once they've put their application form through, we normally give them a membership number in around 24 to 72 hours, and then they have that membership number to go forward with. They are able to use that number to access our Minecraft servers, our support, book onto events, and it just helps us identify them, and then obviously get used to the processes that we have going forwards. So really, really, really simple to get up and running. So do they need any sort of documents like would you be sort of interested in seeing the report, like an EHC plan, for example, if they have? No, that information does come across at times, depending on what we're talking to them about. Initially, we need that background information. We're then able to talk to them if there's anything that stands out that we need more depth on it, to make sure, as a children's charity, we obviously have quite strict criteria on where we work, and the age group is typically 18 down, unless that child's involved in the EHCP, where we have that ability to extend through to 25. But initially, no, they don't need to attach any DLA or anything. If anything needs to be vetted further or to kind of double check, then we will ask them for it. But the initial application, no, it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, it all sounds fairly straightforward to me, and I have been on the website. And it does look as you say, that's for sure. Is there any sort of for anyone listening, if they wanted to get involved, like helping out with yourselves, or sort of fundraising or donations for anything like similar like that at all?
It's quite varied. So our volunteering team's coming up for 30 now, and we had our initial team, which were all kind of put together through the different skills that they had, and we've known each other for a long time. But since then, we've found that many of the families that we've actually support, they initially come to us asking for support and for help. Over time, they've got to a position where they're far more settled, and they've actually said, well, you know, I'd like to help give back. So there's a kind of a lot of growth for us that way, and people think if we're attending events, I might as well try and help. So, but yeah, we have things like our Black Tie Ball where organizations can get involved, or for our silent auction, we have a great Christmas hamper raffle that we do in December, which is coming up. There's loads of different opportunities depending on the amount of time that you've got to get involved with Spectrum, be it digitally, working from home, face-to-face at events, and it's all on the volunteering page on our website. The only other thing that we also do is, aside from the family stuff, with the Hilton, we also do kind of dining experiences so that, excuse me, parents can get away, you know, we normally make them 6 months in advance so people can plan for childcare and that kind of thing. But they can come out, have a good evening. You know, Hilton is a great environment. And we do things like, we've just done Faulty Towers dining, we're doing Only Fools dining coming up. And we kind of do all different things there. So there is an option to not just help children, but try and help mum and dad at times. And
the sort of monthly meetings you have, they're at Clip and Climb, is that
right?
right?
So we work with Clip and Climb in Cambridge, who have a sister company in Milton Keynes called ClimbQuest, and we've worked with them since the day they opened. Just our paths crossed, and we've been very, very good friends since. So we provide free sessions there every month to both venues. And then we do ad hoc stuff there as well, like sometimes we set a fundraising challenge, like can we climb the height of Everest in one session, and all these kind of things. So it varies. Yeah,
a bit challenging, that one, I think.
Do you know what, that sort of stuff gets done quicker than you think.
Oh, really?
Really, but yeah, people are tired at the end of it. But yeah, we normally say if an average wall can be, ClimbQuest is 9 meters. Some of their walls are, so if you think you go up and down once, 18 done, and you got whatever 25 children doing it at the same time,
it's soon adds up.
But we work with that. So we have the big Winter Lights project coming up in Cambridge. We're launching that. We've worked with Anglesey Abbey ever 5, 6, 7 years now, and we help design Winter Lights so it's accessible. We're heavily involved there. We're now working with Ickworth on the Suffolk border, Oxborough Hall, and there'll be more National Trust venues join. So we've got a treasure hunt plan for next year, which is being rolled out, which is being done privately. We explore so many ideas. We have a wrestling event, believe it or not, at Little Port at Christmas, and those guys have been with us for 5 years now, and it's just really, really good. It's pantomime. There's no other way of putting it. But yeah, and it's also pantomime season, so we have 4 pantos to deliver as well.
Oh, it sounds brilliant.
It's all good fun. It's all good fun. I'd be lying if I didn't enjoy it.
It seems that way. And I would definitely stress to whoever's watching to go have a look on the website. It is brilliant. There's a lot of information on there. And like Justin said, it's really easy to get involved and signed up. I found out a lot just from a sort of quick glance on there, because it is really accessible. Thank you very much for your time, Justin. And if anyone's got any queries, of course, the website will be available on here. But feel free to get in touch with Spectrum, or if you've got any questions for us on it, just let us know. But thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, sir.